Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine Alan and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Well, Jasmine, we've got a phenomenal episode today. Ashley Mandowa, Coldwell Banker, works in Atlanta, in and around Atlanta, OTP, ITP, inside the perimeter, outside the perimeter here. And she has really skyrocketed her business with kindness, with love, with great referrals. And it's really interesting to hear how she's done that. And only 5 years in the business, and she's just skyrocketing. We learned so much from Ashley.
Yeah,
today.
we did. I love that her client base spans, between millennials all the way to 55 plus communities, if you will.
Yeah,
and so she's got, she likes to do work with her friends and then her friends' families. And I think that there is just a lot to be learned there. Sometimes I feel people just don't realize that it's really like your network, your people are your people. And that's where you can get a lot of your business from just your network and your friends.
And she really pushes the value agent method. And by that, she's a value person. She's always providing value. And I think that reflects in her growing business as well. So you guys are in for a treat here with Ashley. So let's get to it. Well, thanks for joining us today, Ashley.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, I've heard great things about you, so we're excited to pick your brain. And what I hear about you is that your clients love you, and they love you so much that they're always referring you out, and that is a huge component to, I would imagine, any agent's success. But how have you done this?
It's a great compliment. I like to bond with my clients more so than just the typical experience. I usually end up being friends with them. I've got a couple 55 plus clients, and they've kind of adopted me now. So I talk to them like an hour a day.
Oh, wow. Committed.
But everyone that I work with is one of my friends. I work with a lot of first time home buyers from college, and just like our schooling years together. Mm-hmm. So that's where a majority of my business does come from.
I would imagine. So I guess you're like, basically like your college mates are all getting to an age now where like they're starting to have families and starting to buy houses. Is that kind of where a lot of it is a lot of your business is coming from, is just those relationships and the time of life that they're in?
Yeah, we're all crazy millennials that are kicking and screaming right now.
We don't want to buy a house. I mean, yes, we do want to buy a house.
We have to, but we don't want to. But there's so much responsibility, but we have to. Our parents are telling us to.
Well, you've got quite the spread there. If you're the millennial home buyer, but also the 55 up community, I think being a young person, you probably, well, at least when I was young in real estate, proving to others that I know what I'm talking about and that they should give me a shot in hiring me was my most difficult obstacle. How have you overcome that?
I think in the very beginning, it was tougher. Now I'm 30. Before, when I started, I was 25. So I feel like people didn't really trust me as much. Mm-hmm. But then once I started actually closing, a lot of my friends started referring me to their parents. And that's kind of where I've gotten into that niche. Mm-hmm. Is really my friends and their parents is who I'm moving.
And I guess another sort of obstacle is a lot of times I get, I hear the stories of, I don't want to mix business and pleasure. I don't want to mix business with my friends. So is that something you've ever had to come across, or are you just that friend that everyone trusts and it's like, I'm going to be in good hands with Ashley no matter what I ask her for?
I feel like I haven't run into that issue very much. And the reason being is I'm a very blunt person. So with my friends, like, of course we have our friendship, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel about the house you're picking. So if there's a crazy leak in there, I'm like, ooh, I don't know, girl, the outside's cute, but there's a really bad leak in here. You sure you want to do that? So I question people a lot. Whatever they tell me from the beginning, what their initial goals were to achieve in this home buying purchase, I remind them the whole entire process.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I always tell my clients that, I'm never going to talk you into a home, but I'll definitely talk you out of homes. And I find that just by saying that, or and even if I do say, do not buy this home because, this foundation, this flood that is about to happen or whatever, then that instantly earns trust. And it really makes the rest of the house process easier. And when I do say this is a good home to buy, it carries way more weight for sure.
That's definitely true. And it's the parts of things in real estate where I see houses every day. I'm inside of them all day long. So I see the furnace that's really old, or the water heater, or this isn't up to code. There's no pan here, or you have polybutylene piping. So I can point those things to them, and I'll tell buyers that I'm in sales, yes, but I'm not a salesperson. Because to be honest with you, the house is going to sell itself.
Right.
There's nothing I need to do. I'm going to open the door and you're going to walk in and your body is going to tell you, I like this or I don't. But I will help you negotiate the process. And I'm also going to tell you, hey, there's poly piping in here. You're probably, as a regular person, not going to see that or know what the difficulties of owning a home with that kind of piping is. But I know it. So I'm going to tell you. And if you're willing to take that risk, okay, but at least I've told you.
Right. And I find that having those conversations up front makes the inspection report less scary, right? It's
exactly.
We talked about it. It
helps you break the deal.
Yeah, right.
If you don't do polybutylene, and I tell you there's polybutylene, you don't have to go down the road and spend $500 on an inspection to find out it's there. I've already identified it for you before you've fallen in love.
I want to go back and touch on a thing that you said. Like, what I find is very interesting is I find that a lot of buyers kind of get very heady about the home, that they're the perfect home, and they have the picket fence and this idea of what it's going to be like. But you mentioned they'll know it, they'll feel it in their body when they walk into that home, right? And I'm always curious, how do you explain that to a buyer? I'll use words you'll know it, when you walk in, you'll have that gut feeling. But how do you explain that to a buyer? Don't worry about it. If it's your home, it's going to, no matter what, nothing can get in the way. This is going to be your home.
So actually, I ran into this situation with one of my past clients. She's my good friend from high school, but we were going through the motions of the resale market and how crazy it is right now. So she's taking an FHA loan. So of course she doesn't have the most competitive products. So I kept reminding her that what's for you is going to be for you, regardless at the end of the day. The way that the whole entire transaction works out, you'll know it's for you if it is. If it busts, you'll know that this isn't for me. And she was having that issue, and she's like, I don't really trust what's for you is for you. I need actual proof of it. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but just hang in there with me, because I promise, what's going to make sense for you is going to work out. She was looking at a whole bunch of resale houses, was not interested in new construction. We found new construction. She walked in and she was like, this is my home. I told her, I told you what's for you, it's going to be for you. It worked out. Another buyer was already under contract on the house. Buyer backed out. They called us, got my buyer under contract. And she was like, okay, you're right. What's for me is for me. And I was like, yeah, you see how this whole entire process, all the things that you wanted before did not work.
Yeah.
And this one was so easy and effortlessly it worked because this is what's for you.
Yeah. I love that.
So I just try and remind them, it's effortless when it's supposed to work. Yeah, you're going to hit hiccups because that's anything you want, right? The way the process unfolds, you'll know it's for you.
I mean, what I'm hearing is what's making you a successful agent is, one, you really listen to the clients up front, understand their needs. You remind those clients what you told them, and it might change, I assume, and you adjust accordingly. And then you're like, it sells itself. I love that you said that. I'm not a salesperson. The house is going to sell itself. And there's no pressure tactic, and you just feel comfortable. So that's genius. I love that.
And I think that it also is one of those things that the buyers can feel that, right? When you're clingy and you need the deal, right, if you will, if you need the commission, I feel like your clients can feel that, versus when you're really come from a space of hey, I'm here for you. I know at some point you're going to buy a home. We all need a home, right? But whether that's right this minute or, whenever it comes together, I think it just coming from that, it's a much more powerful place to come from, because you're not desperate. Everything is good.
but so
Right, and the buyer trusts you more.
yeah, but so that's a struggle I think a lot of new agents have. It's, hey, I'm brand new. I've had my license for 6 months. I haven't had a deal. I still have to pay rent. I still have to feed myself. So how do you balance that when you're beginning to not be that pressure agent when you haven't got a commission check yet, or it's been 6 months before you've had a commission check?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like that is a tough place, right? Because of course, in the beginning, when you first start, you do need your commission checks. Now in my career, I'm not in that place. If one doesn't close, that's fine. I have a lot closing that month anyway. So I don't have the pressure that I have to close each deal. So my clients are treated with no pressure. If you don't close for 6 months, I don't care. As long as we get you in the right property that makes sense for you, as long as your payment's not high. So I think that is a tough thing to overcome. But I guess for a new agent, when I started, my biggest focus was learning the game. So I started working with other agents, being that I would show some of their clients for them. So I could make money in different ways than just having to actually close deals. So I could still stay true to my clients and what they were trying to accomplish, I could do with them instead of pushing them to do something they weren't ready to do. So I think in real estate, there's a lot of different ways, especially as an agent, there's a lot of different streams of income that you can jump onto instead of just actually physically closing.
Right. So what are some of those that you suggest?
For me, like I would show other agents clients and they would pay me like $50 a door to show.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty sweet deal. I showed 3 houses and I make $150 in a couple hours. Right. Other things would be like some of my agent friends, I would attend closings for them, or I would pick up their lockbox, or I'd drop off a sign here and there, just doing different things to get where I needed to get.
I think it takes that hustle, and I admire your hustle. And what it feels like is, hey, I'm making $100 here, and it's annoying task, but what you're learning though, like you probably never been to a closing, so now that you're sitting in closings, you're learning how it goes. So you become a more confident agent. You're showing homes, and it's like, I've never been in this neighborhood before, but now you've got knowledge about that neighborhood. So even though it feels like grunt work, I feel like doing those tasks make you a much better agent quicker.
It does. I picked up a side job with a team when I was a little newer, and I worked as like a field agent. So they're cash buyers. They're buying these properties cash, but they would send us out to do the inspections for these properties. So it was a lot of like driving and moving around for less money than what your commission would be. But like I said, it's made me a better agent. Like the things I was looking for them, I can now show my clients. Like I had no idea that it's time to paint your house. If you rub your fingers or your hands across the side of your house and you get like a chalky residue on your house, it's time to paint your house. Had no idea. But working through other agents and getting the experience through these side hustle jobs made me better for my own clients. I can now identify, like I was saying, polybutylene piping. I can identify windows that are not double pane or original wood windows, but those came from working from other people. I wouldn't have gotten that experience on my own. And I wouldn't be able to give my clients that kind of knowledge if I didn't do the grunt work.
Right.
And I think having that mindset, that learning mindset, I know when I first started doing mortgages, a mentor told me, like, spend an hour every single day reading guidelines. Like, nobody freaking wants to read mortgage guidelines. Let me just tell you. You look at like some of that stuff that's like a 400-page, FHA guideline, you just want to kill yourself. But that's what makes you like a good loan officer, because you are going to be the one that knows, well, yes, it is 15% down unless A, B, C, or D. And holy crap, there is your loophole. The same way, like you were saying, like, when you understand homes, right? Like that is part of like you putting in, it's not just like showing up and picking up your commission check. It's like knowing homes. Like not many agents understand like home inspections. It's not really your job description, right? But that's one thing that Alan is also really good at. Just like he understands, he's, what it takes to have a good home, and I think that's huge, because I feel like, in some ways, I feel like your clients expect you to be a home inspector.
They do.
Right.
For some reason. They come back to you and ask those questions like, hey, I saw this on my report. What does this mean? Hey, where can I buy this item from? Is this a big deal? Should I ask for it? Should I not? And if you understand those things, then you can jump in and be like, oh, hey, that GCFI outlet, that's $20 at Lowe's.
Yeah.
So this huge inspection report that you're seeing that sounds scary, it's not. Go on YouTube. You can find how to install one. It's literally just an outlet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to Jasmine's point, like, I mean, I was there once where I'd never seen a home inspection before, and it's just, you get more comfortable the more you read them. And if you're a new agent listening to here, talk to one of your other agents in your office, one of your top agents, and say, hey, can I read some of your old inspection reports? And it's just reading them and get familiar with them. And then you're going to notice, oh, wow, every single home inspection report has, this one item, like whatever, a loose toilet seal or whatever it is. Yeah. and so you don't need to be freaked out about that, because, this is going to be on every single inspection report. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then also just, I think, like, taking your, like, having a good inspector in this case, right? And taking them out to lunch and like picking their brain, like, hey, I've got these 4 reports. What is, can you teach me about this stuff? Or, and I like having real estate agents that take their mortgage bankers out to lunch. Like, hey, pick my brain. Like, I mean, I've got this knowledge lodged in here, 20 years worth of mortgage crap. Like, I mean, I can help you think through problems. So I think taking people out to lunch is also a good way to kind of continually learn, if you will. But, so tell us, so I noticed that you're an associate broker, right? So tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got there.
That was kind of one of my goals from the beginning of real estate. I enjoy knowing things and not having to search for answers all the time, which every transaction is different. So every transaction, you're going to learn something different. So to me, there is no understanding completely of our jobs, because there's so many different things and different people and different things that happen with each person and each loan product. But I thought it was important that if this is going to be my craft and what I like to do, that I need to be the most knowledgeable that I can be in my profession. So I got my license 4 years ago. And then as soon as my 3.5-year mark came, I started studying for my associate broker license. I've seen a different change in my business from having it. It's a different level of respect. When your clients find out that you're a broker, they're like, oh, okay, I don't just have an agent. I have someone that knows a little bit more in their trade. So I thought, for me, that was very important to do.
So that's interesting, because I don't have my associate broker's license, and I've vaguely thought about it, but I never knew if my clients knew the difference, because when I talk to my clients, they think I own the brokerage I work at. Like, they don't understand that I'm an agent at a brokerage.
Right.
So did you have to do any sort of education, or is just that you've got a new title in your business card, or did you do a good job promoting it, or how did you educate your clients that this is something to respect?
When I passed my test, I took an awesome picture with these balloons that said broker and I posted it. And so I started getting a lot of questions in that fashion. One of my best friends, actually, I sold them a house 1.5 years ago. I went to their house, I think maybe the night after I passed my test, and she was like, okay, so explain to me, you're an agent, you're a realtor, you're a broker, like, what is the difference? So I just basically told her, I am a real estate agent. I'm still a realtor, which I'm a part of a board as to why I'm a realtor, but I've now upgraded my license, almost like the master's version of a bachelor's degree, right? I still work for a broker, so there's still someone that if you decide to sue me, you're coming after them, and they hold my liabilities. And also there's someone that I can talk to. Whenever I have a question from my buyer, I can still go to my broker. But now, instead of just being a real estate agent, I hang my license as an associate broker. So if I wanted to right now, I could open up my own brokerage. Do I want to take on that liability? No. So I hang it as an associate broker.
That's great. And I'm curious, did you learn a lot in the classes that you didn't know before, or is it just sort of like a deeper dive of general real estate agent knowledge?
That's kind of like a split question.
Yeah,
so the real estate test has so much information on it.
Yeah.
So by retaking the broker course, it basically helped me brush up on all the things that I originally studied.
I could probably use that.
And it helped bring it back up, like, to surface. So there's a lot of things that I read and I was like, oh yeah, I did read this 4 years ago, but this now makes sense. Especially, I think it made more sense for me because now I've been in the business. So all those terms that I was reading in the very beginning that were a whole new language, I actually understand them now.
Yes.
So I was able to put 2 and 2 equaled 4 at that point. When I first started 2 and 2 was 5.
Right.
So it helped like correct those standards for me. I did learn a lot more because, like I said, I think there's a lot of things on the first test I just didn't grasp.
Right. Yeah, that's true, because you didn't have real world experience to match it to, right?
Right.
Oh, that's a fair point. That's awesome. Yeah.
I like it. So what upgrade or a shift would you say that you have done that kind of, because I feel like you have really gone like from being like a, just starting out your business. Now you're an associate broker, and I feel like your business is really thriving. And so what are some of those shifts, whether it's like, is it just being like certain marketing things, or was it just focusing in on certain types of like social media posts, or what did you do? Was it something that you changed in the way you advertise your business, or was it something more like, hey, I decided to get up at 7 a.m. and do these 8 things that kind of got me on a fast track? Can you think of any particular things you've done over the last couple of years that have really kind of helped explode your business?
One of the key things I can think of is I read the book Ninja Selling. It's a phenomenal book. I didn't think it would change my business as much as it did, but I guess when you first start out, they tell you all the little things that you should be doing. And the biggest thing is consistency. So that book kind of helped me realize that, yes, consistency is number one, but also focusing on, I guess, like my sphere and pouring into it in different ways is what's helped my business take off. So simple things like I write birthday cards and I send them snail mail. So instead of just sending a text and be like, hey, happy birthday, I actually write them a physical card and throw a $5 Starbucks gift card in there. Not a huge deal for me, but my clients get it. They get something in the mail. They know that I've taken the time to remember them, to send them something, and also just to say thank you. And then with a lot of my referral clients, like my friends that are clients that were my friends or whatnot, or our friends that refer someone to me, I always do something for them to show them my appreciation. So, if you reward good behavior, it's going to keep happening. So I get a referral, I'll send a $10 Starbucks gift card in the mail just to say thank you. My friends that I actually end up closing with, one of my best friends referred me her friend. I closed them. I bought her I can't remember what it was, some type of necklace that had her name engraved on it. Every time she wears a necklace, someone compliments her and she says, oh, my best friend that's a real estate agent bought me this necklace because I referred her business.
Wow, that's awesome.
So those actions are rewarded. So it's easy to send business when you know that, hey, I'm going to get a really cool gift in the mail or something, or I'll get a gift card for taking 10 minutes out of my day. So instead of buying leads and things like that, I just spoil my sphere, because I know that the people that love me the most are already the closest to me, and they're going to be easier to refer business to me than going and searching internet leads and people that aren't really going to be loyal to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. A couple points I want to jump on. Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall has 1,000 5-star ratings online. So I've never heard of that.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Okay, subtle skills, big results. I'm going to have to read that one. That looks great. Yeah. And I love I'm a big value agent, and meaning when I talk to my clients, I want to provide value. Typically, that's real estate knowledge value. But what you're doing is you're giving them value in a necklace or in a gift card, and so sounds like what I'm hearing is every interaction you have with a client, referral or active or post, you're still providing value, and it's just, even the thank you is a value, and your gift's a value.
Right.
A lot of times those closing gifts that I see out there, I'm in a closing on the other side of the table. They're just sort of they're cheap. They're throwaway items. But to give something that's wearable and that they get complimented on, that's a different level of gift. And
right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and
even
it's also
simple things. I take some of my friends to Atlanta United. We have season tickets, so I'll grab a friend and bring them with me. Well, my brother does. I steal them from him.
What did you say? You have season tickets to Atlanta United?
Yeah, my brother does. I steal his tickets, but I'll bring a friend sometimes to say thank you. So it's the experiences, the memories. It's someone thought about you in a way that you didn't think they would.
And you're getting face-to-face time with someone, and you're not talking about real estate. You're not that salesperson. You're a friend. That's what you said. I'm their friend, and now I get it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know, Alan. I think you and I, we just only know how to talk about real estate.
I mean, the conversation comes
Is
up.
there anything else to talk about?
You know, we'll be out with friends on a Friday night, and I'm like, guys, I'm clocked out. Why are we talking about real estate? They're like, okay, but just one more question. I'm like, okay, here we go. I talk about nothing but real estate with people.
I need those coaching tips from you, Ashley. Yeah. Jasmine nailed it. I'm always bringing every conversation back to real estate. So, I need to pump the brakes. That's funny.
I love it. So do you have any kind of, I guess any kind of advice or thoughts for newer agents that are kind of trying to slug it out in this low inventory environment? Do you have any good tips or tricks? I have a lot of agents that are kind of struggling. Like, hey, one of my agents was like, I kind of have PTSD when Thursday night rolls around. Like, I'm starting like, oh my God, there's going to be 10 offers. Nothing's going to get accepted. Mm-hmm. You know, what have you figured out so far on the low inventory frontier?
I feel like get a great team. Your lender is your number one person, because your lender is going to help you fight all those other offers. Your lender is going to tell you the timelines that they can beat things in. If your lender has already talked to the buyer, pre-approving them and getting them through those initial stages, your offer is going to come off a lot stronger. If you and your team are a combined front, even a great home inspector. When I'm writing offers, I'm calling my lender and my home inspector and asking them, hey, I'm going to do a quick due diligence. Can you be here to inspect this house tomorrow if I go under contract? Same thing with my lender. Any tricks that I'm having to do, like, I mean, this market's insane right now. Sometimes we're having to remove appraisal contingencies and remove financing. But if I'm in a good relationship with my lender and they've already done their job as far as they can, then I can write more competitive offers because I know what my lender can do. I know what my inspector can do. I know what my attorney can do. So I would definitely say your team is number one. Getting a great team and a team that's behind you that you're always communicating with. And then second, in this market, I feel like you have to communicate with the agent. You still have to find, like, I know as agents, sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm representing my client, so I have to be on the other side and I can't work with this agent. But really, this is a transaction where we all need to be a team. Buyer wants to buy the house. Seller wants to sell the house. Both agents want to close and get their paychecks. So if you can kind of set a front with the agent, I sometimes joke with them and I'll tell them like, hey, listen, I'm pretty fun to work with and I'm very simple. So if we get this done, I promise you, like, me and my buyer are not going to be a headache. But when you can build that kind of rapport in the beginning and also say, hey, I've already spoken to my lender. My lender said they can do it in this time. I can get an inspection. I don't need 10 days of due diligence. I only need 5. That's a game changer in negotiating these transactions. Who doesn't want to work with someone that's easy to work with?
And I love that you said that, because I want to say that's a recurring theme on this podcast from top agents. They all say, I try to be easy to work with, which a lot of times easy doesn't mean that you're bending over backwards on every single negotiation. It means you're returning an email quickly or a phone call, or you're just being transparent and honest. And
completely.
And so all those agents that are listening here and they think they're helping by being difficult to work with.
You're not at all.
You have a short-lived lifespan, I think. Yes.
Well, the thing is too, is if you're negotiating a transaction and you're not communicating, then I'm not going to extend timelines for you because I don't trust you.
Yes.
But if you're negotiating with me like, hey, listen, we just found out that buyer situation is X, Y, and Z. We're going to need maybe a couple more days in this financing contingency. Do you mind extending for me a couple of days? I'm going to say yes every time because you've let me know in advance what's going on. You're responding and you're answering things. There was a situation I had on a listing where buyer couldn't close on time and they sent us an amendment asking for an extension, but they never told us if the house appraised. They never told us if we were closing on time. So for me to protect my seller, I can't accept your extension. Send me the unilateral so that I know you're not going to use it again because you haven't communicated with me. And we've been begging to find out if we appraised. Where are we at? Is the buyer going to close? We're in the dark. Hey, can you help? So it's a lot harder to get what you need for your client when you're not easy to work with. If you're communicating the whole time, it's simple. People are going to say yes. But if you're playing hard and you're not communicating or not corresponding, then you're not going to get what you need for your buyer. So I think you're not working very well for your client. if you can't do the bare minimum of keep the transaction moving.
Yeah. And I think just, I feel like being kind, is really, it can't be, you can't do enough of that, right? You've got to be kind,
it goes a
and
long
you've got
way.
to communicate, right? I mean, it's
It goes a long
simple,
way.
it's simple stuff, but it's amazing how often people just completely fail at it and just, they're having a bad day. And, I had somebody tell me the other day, it's like, well, this is surely better than a stick in the eye. I'm like, what do you mean? Really? It's like, yeah,
Sounds pretty painful.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, that's one way to communicate, but I think we can also be a little bit more uplifting. The seller did come down $6,000 on in the current market. Like, I feel like you can always be just, I feel like as a real estate agent, you've got to be your client's cheerleader, right? You've got to keep them upbeat because they're stressful.
Mm-hmm.
They're stressed out. They're selling. They've got a moving truck and a grandma and a dog, and it's like it's all happening. So
their life is shifting.
You have to be the steady force there.
And I also love that, and it's worth repeating, is when you said, "Hey, both agents on both sides of the transaction want to close the deal." And I think a lot of agents go in thinking, "Oh, this person's my enemy," right? Like you're trying to take everything from my client, rather than, "Hey, we're a team. We got a team of lenders, with home inspectors, and 2 agents, and yes, we're required by law to protect our client." But your client also wants that deal to close, right? And so you getting in your own way as an agent or being a bulldog doesn't help your client, At all. So I think keeping that perspective, like that other person on the other side of the phone, on the other side of the transaction, wants this to go smoothly. Everyone wants this to go smoothly. And communication.
It should be a win-win.
Yeah. Communication is definitely key, for sure. I love that. That's funny. Not funny, but yeah, I think that's a good point. That's worth mentioning.
So tell us about some sort of a fun war story that you've had. Like, can you think of like your most creative deal that you've pulled together or brought back from the dead, or have you done anything interesting?
I just had a good closing. This one came full circle, so it's my heart. Like I literally wanted to cry for it. My client 3 years ago, we went under contract. The son and dad were going together as co-borrowers on the loan for their family to buy a home. The son was working, the date we went under contract, the son was working. He worked for, I think, like a warehouse, and a pitchfork pierced his leg.
Oh, good Lord.
So he was in the ICU, in a coma, like it was bad.
Wow.
The day we went under contract. So son's in a coma. Basically, the loan fell out because he's not conscious. We can't work together. He's not going to get any income past this. He was going to work off disability, and they weren't going to be able to fund the loan with disability. So we got dragged out throughout the process. They eventually terminated. They walked away. They kept renting. They called me 3 months ago and they were like, "Hey, we're in a better situation." The dad was able to qualify now on his own without having to use the son. So they closed today on their home, and now their whole family has a place.
Nice.
So it came full circle. It was really cool that 3 years later they remembered me, and they told me, they were like, "You just worked so hard for us the first time. We knew that when we were ready to buy, we were going to help you." So.
Oh, wow. I love it.
That's great.
That was my exciting one of the week.
I love it. I love it so much. I think it's just ultimately, like sometimes I feel like we're in it for the hustle, and, we're just kind of, this contract, that contract, this inspection, but I think ultimately if you really step back and think about it, I mean, we're putting people in homes. Like,
we're changing people's lives.
It's not a house; it's a home. Like, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. Sometimes I think we kind of don't stop enough and realize, like, it's actually a really big deal here.
We're changing people's lives. My client today said he was grateful, and he was like, "You helped me teach my kids generational wealth." So now they're going to see that it's possible to buy a house, and instead of them renting, their next move is going to be to buy. So not only one person, like we've created a train, we've created generational health through this one transaction.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. I think everyone should get on the property ownership
Ladder.
Ladder, yeah. But if your parents aren't doing it, then you're not exposed to it. Yeah, like you think renting for your whole life is normal, And,
Right.
I mean, probably majority of people that is normal, but like to see someone in your specifically your parents doing that, and then the way their life changes as the mortgage gets paid off and equity in their home appreciates and then they have something to retire off of, or whether they sell it. Like, it just gives you opportunities that weren't there before. I love it.
Yeah.
Right. You're changing the game.
Yeah.
And you're changing it for your kids. Them being able to see their dad close today, they know it's obtainable for me. If my dad did it, I can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not far seen. It's not like, oh, my friend's parents who are successful did it and I can't do it. My dad did it, so I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty powerful. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today on Agent Upgrade. We've learned a tremendous amount, and you're making me feel bad that I treat my clients not as nice as I should to get more referrals. So I got to up my referral thank you gift game. But,
I know. Now my closing cookies feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? They're really tasty, but I'm like, oh man.
Setting the bar high for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been fun.
if there's agents listening that are looking for a referral source, is there a part of town that you focus in?
Me, I'm kind of everywhere, unfortunately. I wish I was just in Gwinnett, but my office is ITP. I live out in Swanee, so I'm just everywhere. Wherever my clients need me, I go.
Okay, so this is in Georgia. A lot of ITP inside the perimeter and OTP outside the perimeter here in Georgia. And what's the best way that they could reach out to you? Do you have social media channels you want to promote, or any sort of website? Or
Yeah. On Instagram, I am Mandowa and Company. It's my last name, Mandowa and Company. And then if any agents ever need help, email me. I'm mandowaandcompany@gmail.com. I'm always down to spread knowledge. The wheel doesn't have to be reinvented.
Love that.
Right.
Love that. And I'm going to have to go
Wonderful.
check out the Ninja Selling book that you recommended. So thank you.
Please do.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Please
Ashley.
do. It's good.
Thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge.
We'll
Appreciate
see
it.
ya.
Thanks, guys.
Well-
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.